Look, in many ways, talent is broken.
They've always offered to build me stuff, but they never wanted to support it. You could actually now make Hey Siri, mold me some clay.
No way. Oh, whoa. Okay. Hey, Jason, John, how's it going?
Good. Nice to meet you, Alex.
I'm super excited to be doing this recording with you guys. A lot of people think clay is mostly about outbound, but all of a sudden, Jason started to introduce me to all these really cool use cases relative to talent. So I'm excited to dive into your journey in the talent industry, what sparked you to start this company, what's your vision for Talent Ingenuity company, and then really excited to see a little bit of your clay work, how you're applying it to talent. And besides that, another fun fact is, John, didn't you register the first talent domain?
I did. Gosh, we're going back in the Wayback Machine here. I started the registration in 1995. Came through in 96, but it was the very first executive search URL. And the interesting thing is it was limited by characters, so I could only grab up to 12 at that time. That's why it's execsearch.com.
I bet you that URL would be worth quite a bit of money for those keywords if you still had it right now.
I still have it, so
oh, you do?
Let's make me a huge deal. I'm listening.
Well, maybe we'll save that for another topic. But yeah, John, you want to start off just a little bit about your background journey, and then we'll move to Jason.
Sure. Well, as I gave away, I've been in the business a long time. Basically, 1995 onward, I was doing executive search. Worked with my father and a couple other partners doing technical and consumer product search work. Companies like Nike, Apple. Got to work with Steve Jobs when he was young. Got to work with Bill and Melinda Gates. Really had an amazing career in executive search. And then as you know, people get older, I was the young buck in the company, and our team started to retire. And I thought, you know what, I want to go internal. And so I was fortunate. I had a company that I thought was pretty progressive at the time. They were in the ad tech network, Vungle, if you've heard of them. And joined them, put in about a year. And then I got tapped on the shoulder to join Google X, or X the Moonshot Factory as it's officially called. And that was phenomenal. There I was able to run recruiting for an AI and quantum team. My boss, Jack Hittery, reported directly to Sergey Brin. So that was a really interesting experience. And then right after that, I got tapped on the shoulders by Roblox. Got to work with my wonderful partner here, Jason Miller. That's where we got introduced. And yeah, so Roblox, and then I got to Q-Secure, which was a quantum security company. And then since then, I've been helping some startups, sort of interim headed talent work. But yeah, what we're working on today is just incredible. So this is where my heart is, and having Jason as a partner is he's a dream partner.
Jason, how about you, man? Tell us a little bit about your journey and background.
Yeah, absolutely. I really loved Jerry Maguire, and I went to school to be a sports agent. And I had a friend of mine freak me out and say, you're never going to get to a good law school if you don't have an internship. And this was 1999, Y2K bug. So all the easy internships to get into were in recruiting agencies. So I joined a recruiting agency, ended up not going to law school, and basically became a sports agent for computer geeks. Growing up in the Bay Area, everybody's kind of attached to tech in some way, shape, or form. Much like John got lucky and placed some bets at the right time. Like you mentioned, I was arguably one of the first guys to sell the concept of cloud to people, which they did not get when we were very early on at Boundary and stuff like that at VMware. From there, spent some time at Yahoo working directly with Marissa Mayer and some of the folks on some secret projects, which was super eye-opening and gave me my first step into the open source world. And then that took me to be really early on at a company called Cloudera. Cloudera was, for all intents and purposes, after Red Hat, sort of the first company to make profit and sell open source. And stayed there for a long time, went public, eventually ran the entirety of the recruiting organization, got to travel the globe and understand how to do things internationally, ran programs in addition, things like, that's the first time I did branding and DE&I, and university recruiting, and all that good stuff. And then that took me to Roblox, and joined Roblox because, amongst other things, I was spending a heck of a lot of money on Robux to my 3 kids.
It was all for the discounts.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was a celebrity at those schools. Nobody believed it that I worked for Roblox.
Love it.
Stayed there for a number of years. Ended up going public with Roblox as well, and then got the bug to kind of do something small. Ended up trying to get a Gen AI talent platform off the ground as COO, a company called Sprouts AI. So I spent about the last close to 2 years as COO of Sprouts. And then a couple months ago, in talking with John, really came to terms and wanted to try and even go smaller and really see if he and I can't take the power of AI, couple it with some automation, i.e. Clay and some other stuff, and then also just use all this tribal knowledge just banging around in our heads to see if we can't help to talent management, people, organizations. It's been kind of a wild ride for the last couple months, and here we are officially announcing Talent Ingenuity on the Clay.com podcast. So, I mean, it's one of those moments where it's like you light a candle and you burn some sage and you cross your fingers and it works out. So, very, very thrilled to be here, Alex.
With all your successes, you guys could probably retire right now, but why start the Talent Ingenuity Group? What are you looking to do differently? What's your vision, hypothesis? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. In a year, TA will not look the same. And we're actually calling it Talent 3.0, where just AI is embedded in everything that we're doing. Not that it's taken over roles. I think that's really key, is we don't want people to be afraid of this. This is not something to be afraid. This is something to embrace. This is something to experiment with. And tying it back to Clay, you guys have a tool that really lets us experiment and do some unique things in such an efficient way. And I'm so thankful that we're partnering with you to be able to do that.
Us too. I mean, when Jason and I first sat down and he was showing me a demo of a couple things, I was like, I had never even seen these use cases before. That's like part of the cool thing with Clay, is you can build all this really cool, almost like a custom application for whatever you're trying to help the customer with. Mm-hmm. Jason, I'm curious, how did you first discover Clay, and then how did you kind of start using it and then decide, oh, we gotta start using this for your customer and as like a business?
So John showed it to me is the short answer. He's been with Clay a little bit longer than I have. I think as much as I echo everything John said about the way that AI and then in all its different forms, Gen AI, gussied up machine learning, whatever you want to call it, is making impacts. My big aha moment for this whole ride has been finally getting my hands dirty with some no-code stuff in Make and, if necessary, Zapier and whatnot. And I think folks in the talent and people orgs feel this way. There's a lot of times where tools are made for us, but they're not made by people that actually walk in the shoes and do these things. And there's a lot of great tools out there. I'm not saying anything about the existing tool set. But to be able to see a problem, like grok out a solution, and then be able to go and solve it yourself instead of relying on very expensive devs and very long development times. And I've been super lucky in my life to work alongside really exceptional CTOs. And they've always offered to build me stuff, but they never wanted to support it type thing. So now what some of the stuff that John and I are spinning up and using Clay as sort of the database more so than anything else for what we're doing has just kind of completely shifted my mindset on things. So when you and I started to chat, and we talked a lot about the ideas of what Clay can do, but what I kept trying to pull you toward is like what Clay is. I mean, in the career game, in the job game, you guys have all heard the whole, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Like, no joke, with Clay, you know everybody. I can go out there, I can find at a extremely personalized, granular level, who's in particular roles. I can find out headcount trends. And by the way, not even being a Clay expert in doing this, you go to your website and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you guys have 8 or 9 of these tools that you put out there for free. You don't got to log in. And you can type in a company, you can see their headcount growth, month over month. These are things that, as a head of talent, I used to pay tens of thousands of dollars to LinkedIn to provide. And John and I both, we're like kids in a candy store right now, playing with some of these things. We've done some interesting stuff around sales ops use cases, being able to determine where your competitors are hiring, which has always been a bit of a holy grail at sales. So like month after month, you can look at your core competitors and see where they're putting their PS folks and their SEs. And there's times to where John and I, this might actually be something worth showing, actually, if we want to kind of do a try and do a quick demo. But we get a lot of opportunity. People come to us and ask us questions about how to find new jobs and stuff. Like Clay can literally make you your own job board.
Yeah.
And you could track, I mean, you can track your interviews in it. I mean, you can legitimately become your own applicant tracking system. This is not functionality that I had access to when I was looking for a job.
Super cool. So I think why don't we? I'm sure everyone's so curious. What are they building? And let's just like dive in. So do you guys want to kind of open the curtains here and show a little bit about what you're using Clay for?
This is my workplace. So here we are. I'm gonna go ahead and make it into a table. For this one, I'm not gonna enrich anything. I'm gonna call this Jason's Jobs. Jason's Jobs. That way I can find it, because I realize, little Clay pro tip, people like me that use it all the time, if I don't immediately name my table when I create it, when I go back to my workspace and there's just nothing but random table names, it drives me kind of crazy. I mean, so here we are. You can see these jobs have all been posted in the last 2 weeks. I can go here, click on a job, apply for a job if I wanted to. What I kind of dig, though, is two things. Frankly, what I just showed you, you could do on LinkedIn yourself. You could type in recruiter, you could type in remote, etc. When we talk to a lot of folks, they have trouble actually understanding and keeping up with where their job search is. So one of the things I recommended is you can come over here. You can add a column. I mean, this is basically a spreadsheet. Yeah, people talked about called a spreadsheet on steroids. I mean, this is a spreadsheet with some form of performance enhancement for sure. So you can go in here, you could do a text column and just say, hey, I applied to this one, et cetera, et cetera. What I recommend folks do actually is be a little bit more fancy and go in here, and instead of text, you literally can make your own ATS. So you can say you got a phone interview, you got an on-site, et cetera. You know what? We're going to be positivity. You got an offer too. You have so many offers because you use Clay. You have to track all the companies that are trying to hire you. So, I mean, now when I go in here, I can go ahead and say which ones I applied for, where I'm at a phone interview, where I'm at an on-site. So I can actually track my job hunt in here. Now, what if I wanted to look at new jobs? What if I come back in a couple days? This is some cool functionality. I want to say you guys came out with this last week or this week, but
I think it was last week. And I was really excited for this because I always want to iterate on my searches, but before I had to start over, and it was just driving me crazy. But this makes things a lot easier.
This is the new hotness. So you go ahead and you click the little, in this case of jobs, the little briefcase, but you can do any of your imported stuff, imported companies, imported people, sources, going back to our find jobs. Now this edit source is different than what we just did. I click edit source. You notice it kind of takes us back to the original page we were at before, but all the stuff that we had put in, all that criteria is still here. Okay. So if I came back in a couple days, 3-4 days, and I hit preview jobs, now what you're going to see is just going to see the same jobs that I already gave us the first time, but it would be an entirely new set of jobs. And I would just go ahead and hit update my table, and then those new jobs would be brought to the bottom, and I go right back and I start tracking them just like I did with the original search. So there you go. Sign up for Clay and you've got your own private job search and interview tracker.
That's awesome. And you can also use this in the parallel way where if you're a recruiter, you can use it to find the applicants too and do the tracking.
Perfect. Yeah, very good call. I did that. So I mean, yeah, just the fact that you don't have to keep going back and making new tables and merging them together is powerful.
I think what's really unique about this is it gives recruiters a whole new avenue to do searches and find candidates in different ways where they're not just locked into LinkedIn's, simple interface. So the power, especially if you're using Clay GPT or Clay Agent, the tool you have, that thing is incredible. I mean, if you understand a little bit of prompting and you build something cool, man, this is a great sourcing tool for recruiters.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that the other day, but we were talking about how using AI to kind of match the job with the profile, and maybe it gives you some recommendations on how to position your resume or your cover letter for that specific job.
I think that's powerful, and there's people can do that through ChatGPT as well. The thing that I would do is I would train it to think like a head of talent or head of engineering if you're going for an engineering role, and say, rate my qualification for this role. So if it knew your resume, you make sure it's in there.
Yeah.
And then you look at the jobs and then just have it rank 1 out of 10, 1 being low, 10 being high. How appropriate am I for this role? And just stack rank your skill set against what the company wants, and then just go for the ones that are 9, 10, somewhere up in there. And just, Jason was only doing 10 at a time. You could do 100 at a time. And maybe you get a list of 10 where you're an 8, 9, 10. Those would be the ones that I would apply to.
Yeah.
Your chances are higher.
Yeah. And in two, I think we talked about this, John, you flip it on its ear too. So you just talked about how you can use Clay to tell you what jobs you're best for. Mm-hmm. You could very easily use Clay to tell you what jobs are best for you, as far as, I want to work at a company under 500 people. I want to be able to work remotely. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Et cetera, et cetera. It's infinite, frankly, what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Alex, honestly, Clay is a tool that recruiters need to start thinking about using in their day-to-day tech stack. Maybe even to the point where if I was doing sourcing today myself, I would be leaning more towards Clay than I would LinkedIn. And nothing against LinkedIn; they've been a great tool. This is just a new way to look at it. And also, often when you do a search, for example, if you go on LinkedIn, a lot of times it's going to show up the same. If you're on a team, it'll show up the same for everybody, and you're kind of fighting for which candidates you're going to reach out to.
Yep.
You use a different tool like this, and now it's going to be a different stack rank. It's going to be a different group of people that you're going after, so you're not really bumping into every other recruiter on your team.
Yeah. Super interesting. So for the talent Ingenuity company, now you're kind of doing things differently than your typical agency. Am I getting it right that you're kind of building custom solutions with Clay for companies? Or tell me a little bit more about that and how you're different and how you're going to approach this in a unique way.
Yeah. So we sort of break everything down by three sectors. One, obviously working with corporations, and that's everything from enterprise all the way down to startup. We also believe that we can help and do a lot of good work for venture capital and private equity firms. And then our third focus is going to be working with actual search firms, executive search, agencies, etc. We're not recruiting, right? What we're building with the Talent Ingenuity company is about talent efficiency. So we're building tools and scripts, and we call ourselves solutionists. So you basically reach out. There's a button on our website that says, let's do a discovery call, let's brainstorm. And our goal is really to understand, what are your challenging points? What are your friction points? What's causing you not to be able to hit your goal? And then we're able to come in, sort of brainstorm with you some ideas that could be helpful, and then go out and build it. So, for example, if you're an executive search firm, you want more business, well, we're going to use Clay. We're going to put together some routines. We're going to use some automation, and we're going to help you do a lead generation tool that's going to look at new businesses and kind of do things differently than most lead gen companies would do it.
Yeah.
We built some really unique tools for that. If you're a venture capital firm, for example, let's say you want to do some market research, get market sentiment. You have a company that you want to and potentially invest in that's going to be coming in tomorrow, and you're going to talk to the management team. What information can we pull up for them to really give them some insight in that sector and that company? And then they have portfolio companies, right? Every good VC or private equity, they've got anywhere from 10 to 300, depending on the partner, the firm. And what if we use automation to look at all the social feeds from those companies so that they can kind of stay on top of the marketing. We're doing that. While sentiment analysis, we can do a little bit of growth, look at the growth of a company over time. Jason, you had the Celesta Capital.
Yeah.
Would you mind pulling that one up? So this right here is a sheet that I used. I was meeting with a venture capital company called Celesta Capital, and they had a portfolio, probably 50, 60 companies. And I thought to myself, oh shit, how do I get in front of all that data so that when I'm meeting with the director, and I could have a good understanding of where are they as far as headcount, what does their portfolio look like, which portfolio companies are actually accelerating versus contracting. And as Jason's going through, I built this sheet. Now, everything you see in here was pulled from Clay.
Wow.
And that's the amazing thing. Matter of fact, Jason, if you can click on the data tab at the bottom. Yeah, so that right there, that's just an export from Clay that I threw into the sheet, and then all the sheet is just a fancy overlay and just did some tables and give it a visual. So as I was talking to the managing partner, I was able to say, hey, net speed, it looks like the company's contracting. And we talked about it a little bit, and he said, yes. In the middle of the sheet, you'll see headcount size. So I got a good idea of what their general focus is. It looks like they tend to invest in companies that are between 11 and roughly 500 employees. That's their sweet spot. They have 9.9% of their portfolio has exited in an IPO. They've exited without the IPO, obviously a sale, 14.8% of their portfolio. So I can see how successful they are as a venture. Now, I can do this for Lightspeed. I can do this for so many different venture firms. But this right here gave me talking points. It gave me data, and it gave me a lot of credibility walking into that meeting. And the VC was really quite pleased with the amount of research I had done. Now, if I was an executive search firm and I walked in with a tool like this, it just sets you up on a different level. And that's the kind of thing that we're building out for search firms, agencies. I want Jason to dive into some of the really cool stuff he's doing with Natura. I think that's some killer stuff too.
And just to pause on the VC angle, at Clay before coming here, I thought, okay, yeah, Clay's for sales teams and marketing teams, but I didn't think VCs would be coming in all over the place, and there's just so much interest from VCs in general, from tracking their portfolio, finding investments. And I imagine when you showed this dashboard, they could also use that to go and show their LPs when they're getting people excited about their next funding round.
100%.
There's just so many different ways to get creative with the data, especially when you start to apply these visual layers that make people, or that help people really understand the data. So yeah, my mind goes in all these different directions and use cases, and now I want to start playing around with creating visual layers on top of the data you guys did. So that's super cool. Thank you for showing that.
Absolutely. And to add one thing, then you throw automation on top where it refreshes, where it goes out and grabs more and more data, adds it to this. That's the power, right? You got AI, you've got a tool Clay, and then you use automation. The whole combo together is the power. And that's why we started the Talent Ingenuity company, is we're able to take these things and just build some incredible tools for our clients.
Love that.
Yeah. And then, you talk a little bit about Natera. I give this company mountains of credit and mountains of kind of admiration. They are top of the class of what they do. And a lot of times when you're at the top of the class of what you do, you don't really need to push real hard on innovation, especially in sort of traditional people and talent kind of functions. And they're led by a CHRO and a head of talent and a heck of a CTO who have just ran toward being tip of the spear in some of these things. And yeah, to John's point, like, we've used it to find large scale outbound pushes. We have used it to identify targets for talent communities. We've done some really interesting work on competitive analysis around headcount growth in different regions. The list kind of goes on and on and on. And a lot of it, to John's point earlier as well, is clay once again becomes the brain, and then the automation that's built around it is the process. And like I said, tools like Zapier. I will tell you, the single happiest day of 2024 for me will be the day that you let me know that Make and Clay work nice together. I will be thrilled. I will tell my kids will know about that. Part of what John and I do every day is basically just talk about cool stuff that we want to do, from little gadgets we buy to whatever. But we actually were able to sneak our way into the developer side of like the new Siri intelligence that's coming out. And we wanted to see if there was even a way to get it to play nice. We both work from home. John is a heck of an amazing son, and him and his dad go to a coffee shop every afternoon at a particular time and have a moment together. I have little kids that are little. I have younger kids at home who tell me like, all you do is talk about AI. You're such a yapper. So it's like, I have to get out of the house sometimes and go to a coffee shop. And it's him being in kind of with the peninsula, the money VC area of all things in the Bay. And then I'm here in Austin. We always are hearing about these cool companies and stuff when we're at these coffee shops. And we come back together afterwards and it's like, yo, have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? Ding, ding, ding. And wouldn't it be cool if we could just ask our phone to send us people from those companies? And literally 24 hours ago, we figured out how to do it. So we could actually now make Siri calls, return Clay results, if you guys want to see it.
No way. Oh, whoa. Okay.
You're walking the dog.
You're telling me
comes. Yep.
you show that right now?
Yeah. No, I think we could. So.
Oh man, dude, you're saving the best for last.
Hey Siri, mold me some clay. GTM engineers that work for clay.com in the United States. All right, it's running. It says done. I'm a big Make guy, but for this one, we actually used Zapier. And what we did was we had Siri interact with a trigger that works for Zapier. And then we had that go ahead and feed into a clay table, and it is running. So there we go. Did you notice that it just pulled down 5 people? So the first thing it did, so it captured the website, captured your guys' LinkedIn, heard my voice with the engineer, and then it found 5 of you. And then we love this write to other table functionality. Shout out to Arturo, who you introduced me to and helped me figure this out. The Clay support team is 10 out of 10. So we showed them how to do this write to other table functionality. And here we are. We've got, I'm okay showing names, I suppose, but here we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 GTM engineers that are at Clay in the United States. And like I said, you can see, I got 29 columns worth of information on you, but we're not going to share that.
So think about it. You're a recruiter, you're walking your dog, or you're going around your campus. All of a sudden, an aha moment is, oh shoot, I need to reach out to Palantir. What engineers are there? Or I need to reach out to Google, whatever. You can just literally talk into your phone now and source as you're doing something else. You're on your treadmill, you're on your bike. You can now source anywhere you want. That's the kind of efficiency that we're bringing.
So, yeah, there's a lot of other stuff that we've kind of baked into that. And John's use case is perfect too. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do voice sourcing now. There just isn't. And the thing about the stuff John was talking about, how you could automate your job search to see if you are a good enough fit. Very easily, you could drop in the criteria of a job, and it could stack rank which GTM engineer was the best suited for my job. I mean, the level of enrichment that you could add to it is kind of wild. Think about when I made the select box to say where I'm interviewing or where I'm at on-site or where I'm applied. Very easily, you could put that column in your contacts. So I could look at all 5 GTM engineers and I emailed this one. I'm not going to email this one. This one I emailed and declined. These tools that we used to pay so much money for, you can build yourself now.
Oh, guys, this has been awesome, and that was the best surprise because I had never seen that before for sure anywhere. So that is bravo on that demo. That's super cool. Where can people find you? How do they reach out to you? I'm sure there's going to be lots of people that want to talk.
Talentingenuity.com. TalentIngenuity. It's a mouthful. TalentIngenuity.com. You'll see our site. It's live. We're excited to work with you. And the thing that we want people to do is click on the Let's Brainstorm, because what we want to do is get ideas. We want to hear your challenges. If it's something that we can knock out efficiently, we can come in, just literally do stuff probably within a few days, maybe a week. A lot of times those projects lead to 2, 3, 4 other projects to have with Jason. And our goal is just to come in and destroy, crush inefficiency. And it's not that people are inefficient, it's just processes are inefficient. Yep. And we get the tools talking. You have somebody wants to make a referral, throw it into Slack. We can find ways to get it now into Greenhouse, reach out to people, get contact information through Clay. We can piece all these things together and just give you a super, super, super efficient process. And we're so proud of what we're able to do. And I think what's interesting about today's, and Clay is part of it, no-code solution, is when you have people that are incredibly smart about what they've done over their history and work career.
Right, exactly.
Jason and we're talent experts. We understand the friction points. We understand, what it takes to hire, headcount, all this. When you combine that knowledge with no-code tools and you're able to build stuff that will tackle these challenges, the game's changing. And any company that is sort of paying expensive prices for certain ATSs and different modules, and hey, you want to throw a chatbot on top, we build chatbots for ourselves just to see, and we built them in a couple days. So nobody should be paying a ton of money for this stuff, and they all have to talk together. That's the important thing. Is it all has to sort of interact. And by building your own custom tools, it is so powerful. And we're just thrilled to be on the forefront of at least the talent acquisition industry, coming in with just some great ideas. And I can only imagine a year from now what we have. We call it our shelf. We just, every time we build something, we kind of put it up on the shelf, and we're able to kind of pull down and customize it for clients. And I'm just thrilled with the work we're doing. And Jason's been an amazing partner.
Jason, John, thank you so much for the time today. We're obviously going to keep in touch, because I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you, Alex. This was wonderful.
Yeah. Cool. We are so very thrilled to be launching on your platform and alongside you guys. So thank you for having us, man. We had a good time.
Absolutely.
Love it. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.